The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
West Tigers podcast, episode 477, nudging closer to 500, a milestone within sights. I'd like to think the finals are in sights, but we'll wait and see how we go. But big welcome to Jordan and Josh. Good evening to you both.
Howdy, gents.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Good to see you both. Now, Jordan, you weren't on the weekends, but you were up at Newcastle. So I imagine that would have been a tough game to sit through live. Obviously, Josh and I watched it on, on TV. No losses ever easy to watch, but when you were sitting there in the, I imagine it was probably cold and especially
it was
rain, would have been
freezing.
Yeah.
No, it was. Look, going into half time, I actually felt all right. I thought we completed well. We were doing a lot of things right, a lot of the small things right. We were keeping Newcastle quiet, like considering when they made that break and they scored in the opening set, I did put my head down and think, crap, here we go. This is going to be a long day. But then we sort of kind of seemed to fix that problem, and then we got the try through Suka, and I went into halftime going, I did want more points. Admittedly, I was like, 6 isn't enough. I wanted to be ahead by more. But I was confident, and then I think everyone was looking to the skies and was watching the clouds come through. And then once it opened up, thankfully I was a bit far enough back that I didn't get too wet, but it was all right. But yeah, our attack was in the second half. It was dreadful. We didn't execute. We didn't throw enough at the Knights. We needed to throw more at them. Yep. And in the end, the team that took the risk took the reward. And we have to address that. And we'll get into it later, but it's part of why I'm actually a little bit frustrated with some of the team selections for this week, because I feel we're not addressing the actual need to sort of kind of spark up the attack.
So we might as well go straight in, and I don't want to preview the game right now, but what stood out to you in regards to what you're talking about? Because you're saying we have made some or haven't made changes? From what
I think
saw?
we made the wrong change. With Luai being out, I would have been going Latu at 6 over Madden. I feel with Dewey's kicking game, we need a bit more excitement and a bit more unpredictability in the attack. And just putting Madden and Dewey together, I kind of feel it's too much of chalk and chalk, and I think we need chalk and cheese. So I would have preferred Latu to be at 6. I know he's young. I am starting to get concerned just a touch about his development and the lack of minutes that he's getting, because, obviously he got big minutes in New South Wales Cup the other week, but then he got, I think, maybe 10 minutes against the Knights. So, yeah, I would have really, really preferred Benji go with Latu over Jock. I think we've got the kicking game. We've got the organiser with Dewey in the squad, and that he needed a bit more flamboyance with Latu at 6.
So I've got in my notes to talk about halves in a little bbit, but Josh, are we ever going to see Latu in the halves? Because I have been saying for ages, I want to see him play in the halves. I want to see him get a start. I know he played a couple of weeks ago in the halves with Javon, and by all reports, he was really, really good. I just don't understand why Benji won't give him a shot at 6 or 7, depending on who's in or out at the time. So I just think he's wasted. I know he's probably got more utility value than maybe Jock, but I just think he's wasted on the bench.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, you know what, though? He's played 10 games this year, and I know he's played somewhere between, 20 to 50 minutes in each of those 10 games. He doesn't have a single try assist, a single line break. If you want to get picked in the halves for an NRL side, you've got to actually show it when you're coming off the bench. Like, you've got to deliver something. And I know he's not always playing in the halves, but he hasn't really done much this year. I know we're all, here's this guy and he's going to be amazing. But Jock's won 5 of the 7 games that he's played a full game of this year in the halves. Like he's been winning and he's been creating tries. And well, Latu hasn't done anything really. He's come on and he's shuffled the ball around a bit, but even when he's been at lock or whatever, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't
So
created any footy. Like
the
what
argument
are we
against
wanting him for?
yeah, the argument against that I'll bring up is the majority of the position that he has played when he's come on off the bench has been hooker. And I would think that he's been instructed to be more a distributor than like an appy ball player or a roving ruck who runs out of dummy half and tries to create like Appy does. I don't know, but I'm only guessing. But he obviously doesn't give amazing service out of the 9 jersey. I don't think he's had as many opportunities at 13 as he has at 9. I stand to be corrected if someone can tell me I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think he's probably being wasted a bit. Good player. I think he's a real footballer, Jordan. But whether he's best coming off the bench again, I don't know. But I kind of agree with you. I think and a lot of people have said it too. I think his development's been wasted a bit.
Yeah, it's also hard with just to counter something Josh said. It's hard the time that he's been brought into the game, and like a few of the games that he's been brought into, he's been brought in when we're on the back foot.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be able to do much if the forwards aren't rolling forward. And you're right, Nick. I completely agree. I feel that he is being brought on when he plays hooker to just be a doorstop to give Appy a breather.
Yep.
He's not out there to create much. He's literally just service from the ground, which unfortunately is very slow. But he isn't. If he was just told to go out there and basically go, look, I want you to play eyes up footy, bring forwards onto the ball. If you see a space, take it, whatever. It's not. He seems to be just a shovel. He's just servicing out of dummy half until for that 10, 15-minute period until Appy's ready to come on. He probably has the potential to turn into a 13 later on in his career, but I think he needs minutes. He needs minutes. He needs that opportunity to have it. Like, I know he hasn't got any try assists as mentioned, but he hasn't really been put in a position to provide that spark.
Minutes and consistency, I think.
Minutes and consistency, 100%.
Yep.
There is any person, semi-professional or professional, will tell you there is nothing like match fitness. You can do all the conditioning in the world you want, but there is nothing like match fitness. And unfortunately, I think he's been lucky to play a quarter of a game in the last 6 weeks, bar that New South Wales Cup game.
Yeah, agree. Josh, just what do you reckon? Like after this week, I know Latu's on the bench again, but after this week, I'd be very inclined to leave him in Cup for the rest of the season and let him play alongside Javon.
Oh yeah, I'd have him in Cup this week. I think Lanyon does a good enough job, probably a better job coming on at hooker. And I don't think he's holding his spot on the bench. For me, I don't know. Maybe he's bench half, but as you said, it's not getting any development there. I think Cup's his spot, and then you see if it's him or it's Andrews who you should bring up if there's an injury. I think and then Jerome will probably be back next week. So I think if you're going to sit a half on the bench, Madden's older and more experienced, and you've already got Lanyon there, you can sit Madden on there, and he's played plenty of footy this year. So, I'd have Latu in New South Wales Cup, and he has to show us something. To me, I've been, we all have high hopes for him, but I got to the point in the season where I'm just not very impressed. He hasn't shown me much. So I'd have him in Cup because I don't think he deserves to be in first grade.
I'd love to see him play Cup, not because it's Cup, but because of what we're just talking about, Jordan, getting consistency in a position and minutes. I'd love to see him start building, a bit more of a combination with Javon in the halves and see what they can create. Because we've talked about this a couple of pods ago. I think it was, potentially they could be the future halves pairing in a couple of years' time. Not sure what's going to happen with AD in regards to the halves or where he may end up, but. Potentially, it's a very exciting combination. So I would love to see that flourish or build and flourish in New South Wales Cup and then potentially grow into something bigger and better in the years to come. But might leave that one there because there were a couple of bits of news the last couple of days as well that we might just quickly touch on. I know we mentioned it in the previous pod, but it's official on both counts. Luke Laulali is gone. Has it been officially announced he's gone to the
Yeah.
Warriors? Because the Tigers didn't
Yeah.
mention it. Okay, so
They announced it this morning.
so he's definitely off to the Warriors, which is great. Well, great for him. Bit of a shame for me. He's only young, 20-year-old Liverpool Catholic Club junior, debuted for the Tigers 2024. Depending on where you look at your stats, the West Tigers has got him as 17 NRL appearances. I know when I Googled it, I think I saw a number that he's played 20, but that may take into account a few games where he sat on the reserves bench and maybe didn't play. 10 tries in total for his NRL career so far for a 59% strike rate. That's pretty good, Jordan.
Yeah, look, it is. I've watched him a bit through the grade over the last few seasons. You know, he is someone who has the ability to do the hard yards. Like, he gets those meters. He's a good yardage player. Considering he's already signed for the Bears, there must be some logic, whether it was money, top 30 spot, whatever. We'll find out probably in the next 2 days, because they will release the top 30s on the NRL website in the next sort of kind of 48 hours. So we'll see if anyone's been bumped up for that reason. But letting him go to strengthen the Warriors is an interesting move. But look,
Does it strengthen the Warriors? Or does it,
well, it strengthens them at the moment because of all the injuries they have in the backs.
I mean, I hope we're running against him in 2 weeks when we play the Warriors. His defense
100%.
has been woeful. Like, it's probably helpful for us if he's on the opposition. So
Put him up against Skelton.
Yep.
Defensively, anything. I 100% agree. But because he was already out the door for 2027, it doesn't really phase me.
Yeah.
I'm not too fussed. We've been critical of his hands and some of his decision making in defence. So he is a young kid. He does have his whole career ahead of him. I don't blame him for taking an opportunity to go over to the Warriors, but at the same time, it's an interesting move. But there has to be some logic behind it. Not sure what that is. But I do prefer probably having him gone and Tupou into the squad, to be honest.
He's well down the depth chart for us. I mean, if you look at it, I know we don't have that much, but Tavana's above him. The guys obviously starting on the wing, as well as Makasini, are above him. I think Sakuru and now Tupou coming in. Fainga's been good in this cup. Like, do we need a short, stubby winger who's not going to be here in 10 rounds? So the fact he's already going, yeah, fine. Save ourselves 30K.
Yeah, that's true. And along the same lines as you, Josh, he's out of here in a few months anyway, or we would have been. So it's not a huge issue that he's leaving early. It's interesting, though, because I think he played 7 or 8 games this season in the first 10 or 12 rounds. So he played a fair bit early on. He was actually in our starting team, I think, in our first game against the Cowboys at Leichhardt. So he must have been, considered in our top 2 starting wingers at the time. I can't remember if we had anyone out for that first game against the Cowboys. But and then I guess from about round 12, I think it was, he didn't make another appearance. So obviously I'd say this has probably been cooking for 4, 5, 6 weeks that Benji's been thinking about it. It's an interesting shift, though, and I'll go to you, Josh, with Junior Tupou. Now, that's also official as of this morning. Announced coming back to the West Tigers this year on a train and trial contract, which will be cheap, and next year in top 30 squad.
Yeah, I mean, I give the Tigers credit. We signed a guy with an NRL contract, a top 30 contract, or 2 top 30 contracts, because the Dolphins are still paying him and the Roosters were paying him. But he has a contract for this year and next year. Well, we've got him on a train and trial for this year, which is, that seems a good piece of business. And given he had an NRL contract next year, I imagine we had to take on next year's contract. But my understanding is the Dolphins are still paying. I mean, though it was a $500,000 contract with them, so I imagine they're still paying.
It's big money, isn't it?
We fairly well got this for free because the Roosters wanted a spot. So, so I think that's a good piece of business by the club, which is nice. And look, when he was here, Tigers wanted to keep him. I had a look earlier, and in 2023, when he played the full season, he played 22 games and had 17 line breaks in the year. So, and was making 120 meters a game on the wing. He's been playing a lot of centre at the Roosters in New South Wales Cup too. Look, his hands weren't amazing, and he's obviously not had the best couple of years at the other clubs playing out of reserve grade. I don't know too much about the reasons behind that. I mean, Roosters, it's hard to make that first grade side. But as far as backup goes, he's not short, he's not slow. He can jump.
Yeah.
Those are all things we've been asking for. So, yeah, I think it's a good sign. And a guy who wants to come back. He knows the club. We know him. Like he probably has more ability than he's shown in the last couple of years. I mean, the Dolphins did sign into a 500K contract. I mean, he hasn't fulfilled that. He had the talent for a 500K contract. So, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. So, yeah, I think it's a good signing. I think it adds really good depth in the outside backs, and it's an upgrade on an upgrade on Luke, and probably an upgrade on Tavana at this stage of his career too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't think he'd be with all the injuries we're facing. I don't know if I think in a couple of weeks he might even have Macassini's spot in first grade. So we'll see what happens.
That's an interesting one because I said on the previous pod too that I think Macassini needs a rest. I don't know if he looks a bit rattled, Jordan, but I don't know what you saw or noticed during the game on the weekend up there in Newcastle. But for me, I know he's had a tough time since he's come into the NRL. He obviously stood out at that Leichhardt trial game against the Panthers where he ran over a number of players, including Dylan Edwards. And he might not have lived up to the hype this early on in the season, so far anyway. But with Tupu, maybe Josh is right. I mean, he's going to be back up, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sort of throwing a lot of angles here at you, right? But with Tupu, I was disappointed when he left to go to the Dolphins because I did rate him from a point of what Josh mentioned, really strong runner of the ball, hits the line really hard. He was quick and he can get up high, but he obviously left for huge money, which obviously failed. So,
Yeah, well, the club was 100% wanting to keep him. They made that abundantly clear, but the Dolphins' offer was much more. I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not, but there was a thing that I remember hearing that Tupu had this eye condition. He had this eye issue, which he did get surgery not long after he left us, but it affected his vision when he looked up,
okay.
which apparently was attributed to his high ball issues. I paid attention to him a bit for the Roosters this year. He doesn't seem to have those high ball issues anymore. Like he was getting up there, he was getting in there. He has been playing center a bit, but there were times he was dropping back at wing. He does have talent. Benji actually made a very important comment, one that I think attributes to probably Benji's coaching style and that why Junior will be Benji's type of player is he's a confidence player.
Yep.
He is a quiet, reserved kid. He's a very, introvert from everything that I've seen. Even I remember it actually caught my attention once at training, and yeah, he was still quite fresh to the NRL, but he wasn't like your Tavan, your Taruvas and whatnot. Those loud. He sort of kind of sat like the quiet kid in the corner. So the confidence side of things, if he's being backed, if Benji's got his back, he probably plays better when he's confident. In relation to Macassini, what I saw at Newcastle, the kid's busted. He is 100% busted. His body is not keeping up with the NRL at the moment. I can't remember if it was his right or left shoulder. He's not 100%. He is strapped up to the nines on one of his shoulders. I do not think that's what probably concerns me. If St. George are smart, they are running at that gap between Madden and Macassini all day. All day.
I mean, there's some big gaps in both those back lines this weekend because he's opposite. He's playing against Matt Feagai, who is just not an NRL standard player, and Val Holmes, who has probably been that's the biggest drop from form that you've probably seen in a season that he's showing this year. Yeah, so yeah, I think there'll be both teams will be running a lot of balls at the centres, I would imagine, this weekend.
And he doesn't talk enough. Like I was on his side at one stage, and the communication, which is it's a thing you'll learn, and it's getting that confidence to be able to speak up against seasoned NRL players. But his communication and defense is nil and void.
Yep.
Like I didn't hear him once. Taruva, you can hear from the other side of the bloody field, but yeah, Macassini needs to find his voice in defense, and I think with Dewey out there, because Dewey's communication defense is actually quite well. It is one of the biggest improvements in his game. They ran that play down Macassini's side probably 5-6 times and nearly broke. Like they broke a couple of times, but nearly pretty much every time they did, they made that overlap. because he's not talking with his outside man about who he's got. So, yeah, I think Makasini needs a rest. I agree with Josh. I think we'll probably see, if not next week, maybe the following week, we'll probably see Tupou in and around the squad, making his return.
That point about being quiet. Now, I know people can be naturally quiet. That's the way they're built. But the thing that bugs me, and like you, Jordan, I coach my son's under 10 footy teams, under Shamrocks, which is good fun. They're 10 years old. I'm always telling these kids when we train, and I'm telling them before they run out on game day, when you're defending, I want everyone pointing to the player that you're marking and everyone talking to each other in your team. You say who you've got, and when you're passing the ball, you call out their name before you pass it. Communication is the most important thing in any team sport, because if you're not talking to the people around you, no one's got any freaking idea what's going on, right? And that is basic. So the thing with
100%.
Makasini and Tupu as well, this is the sort of thing that I'm sure Benji will get it out of them, but this should be drilled into them at training. I'm sure they do, but they need to learn to find their voice, because if you are quiet and you're not communicating with the person inside or outside of you, depending on what position you're playing, you shouldn't be playing NRL. So,
and look, I've been coaching junior rugby league for 12 years now, and the thing is, the most important part with communication, you're right, everyone needs to talk, but the main part is you've got the 5-prong approach. You need your center, your half, your hooker, your other half, and your other center to be your loudest.
Yep.
Because that is your whole field covered. Okay, they have literally got to have that voice and that communication and that ability to talk, because then it's going to spread across the field. And then it drags everyone else with them. Now, you watch teams like Penrith and Melbourne and everyone else, and you see that exact point, the pointing and who they've got and who's going to be who and who's got A, B, whatever, or 1, 2, or however you want to describe it. You need to be talking about it, because if you don't trust that man on your outside, or you don't know what they're doing, that's when players jam. And that's when one person comes in and another person comes in, and all of a sudden that overlap's created. So yeah, communication in any form from junior level to NRL is extremely important. And I drill it in my kids, even when it comes to having the ball. If you're getting the ball or you're not getting the ball, your hands are up and you're going, yep, whether you're getting it or not.
Yep.
It's fundamental that every player needs, but I can understand that it can be overroaring trying to tell a player who's played 50, 60, however many games more than you what to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons Taruva's probably been defensively really good in the centres. He's not a natural centre and whatever, but the guy talks and he's very clear on what's happening and what's doing, so he knows where he's going. The people around him know what's happening. I think that's good. Like, for me, if we're sticking with this back line on the weekend, and I know it's a bit of fiddling, but I'd have to put Makasini on the wing and Taruva and Toa in the centres. I don't think you can have Makasini in the centres. I don't think his defence is up to it. And he's 18, so I'm not like, this is not a criticism. Like, of course it isn't, because he's an 18-year-old kid. The other thing on the weekend, he was against Dom Young. I imagine that may be the first time he's ever played against a bloke who's bigger than him. Like, all through the juniors, he would have been the biggest bloke. Like, he's never had a guy bigger than him running at him out there. And all of a sudden he had this colossus, with speed and power running at him. But yeah, he looks like he's had enough first grade at 18 at this time of the year, and that he can probably do with a few weeks off and maybe a bit of New South Wales Cup after that, but a bit of a break to get his body better. So
100%.
Yeah, I'd give him a break too. So, Marcy, I'm sure you're listening, just like everyone else at the club does, but definitely not a dig at you, mate. We want to see nothing but the best for you going forward. And I think he would benefit from a spell back in Cup, just an opportunity to play maybe at a slightly slower pace, but get his head around the game a little bit more and work on a few things. So
less
even
pressure.
Just a spell. Like, even just give him 3 or 4 weeks, to get his body right. And, like, it's a lot at 18 to be playing that much first grade and that
100%.
many hits and off-season. Like, it's his first real off-season over the off-season. Like, And
it's not just the game itself. It's the travel. Yeah. It's the moving around. It's everything. A couple of weeks in Cup gives him a chance to find his confidence and just enjoy footy again. Just go down there and just give him the directive. Whoever's in front of you, maim them. That's all I want you to do.
And if he goes down to Cup, he's outside Javon Andrews. He's going to the pair of them are going to absolutely dominate some teams. It'll be a ball of fun. He'll have a great time. He'll get his energy back. So
and it's less pressure in front of 50 people than in 5,000 people.
Yeah,
exactly. Josh, where are the Magpies sitting on the ladder? Do you know?
Let me just have a look.
Are they in finals contention?
They're in contention. They've had a good run the last little while. They're sitting 8th at the moment. Dragons are 9th. So I think the top 5, maybe 6 qualify in New South Wales Cup. So if they got a win this week, they'd start creeping up towards, and Souths who are 5th play Penrith who are 1st. So if a win this weekend against the Dragons would put us right in contention in New South Wales Cup. So
can you imagine if Mussy went back and Latu went back and played a bit of Cup? Like, that's instantly stronger in a few key positions there. So I'd love to see the Magpies go on a bit of a run and challenge for the finals. That'd be awesome. As I think the Tigers, even though the Knights' loss was disappointing, and a few people, including myself, probably thought it might have been the end of the season, and we'll start to get into it shortly, but we may still be a chance in the NRL to make the top 8, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But there's one more player that we did touch on the previous pod, Jordan, when you were driving home. I just want to very quickly go over again, Josh Schuster. So we've obviously brought him into the club in the last few days too. So I think he's on a training trial for the rest of this year, and then I think see what happens. Is he signed for next year?
Nothing was announced for 2027. I think they were just giving him just the 6 months to sort of kind of see where he's at and what he can do.
So I know that the report was he'd lost 30-something kilos before he'd agreed to terms or agreed to come to the club or convinced Benji to come to West Tigers for a chance. That photo that was published today, if anyone hasn't seen it, go on to social media. It's all over Facebook. You'll see it on Instagram, X, wherever. But he has slimmed right down. He almost looks unrecognizable.
He is unrecognizable. When I saw that photo, I did not. Someone shared the photo on Twitter without putting who the player was, and I didn't get it right at first until I had a good proper look.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my mates plays touch footy with him actually. While he's been not playing NRL, he's been playing some touch footy and was in the team. He was saying he's lost 40 kilos. So the reports were a little under because he didn't want to say 40 kilos to say what he was at, but he's lost 40 kilos. And he looks good. And almost, I think with a bit of training, he'll probably put a bit more muscle back on and probably put a few of those back on. But he's right at the right size. And look, it's a good sign that his head is in the right spot. Like, if he's got himself down to that weight and he's looking fresh and looking fit, that's a good sign his head's in the right spot to at least have a crack at it. Like, he wasn't looking anything like that last year when he was at South. So
it's a risk-free proposition.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
So, Josh, where would you play him?
Where would I play him?
If he were to walk into the NRL team for the weekend, where would you play him?
I would have him at second row. I think that's his best spot for me. I think he's a second rower. I think he has the skills. I think he's very much he'd be a very skillful 5'8", a very skillful second rower. He's obviously played quite a bit of 5'8", but I just don't think he has the all-round game to be a 5'8", is my view. But and we already have plenty in the halves. I think he'd be fantastic coming off the bench in the back row next year on that bench if he can get himself sorted. But that'd be where I'd have him on edge second row, ball playing, doing all those things he does well. He's there's a fair bit of tackling, but he's played 20 or 30 games of NRL in the second row. It's not foreign to him. So.
Yeah, he's decent size. So I actually thought he was taller, John. Just looking at his profile, if Google is correct, it says he's 6'1", so 185 centimeters. So that's not as tall as I thought. Currently weighs apparently 97 kilos. So his playing weight at the Rabbitohs was 130. So I'm guessing he might have put on a little bit after leaving the Rabbitohs and to get down to that 97 if he's dropped 40. So that's a very impressive reduction. But Jordan, you reckon he could be a lock?
Yeah, definitely. I think anywhere in that sort of kind of mobility part of the forwards, he would be beneficial. Losing that kind of weight, especially that amount of weight, he will have to sort of kind of recondition himself to the NRL. The kid's got talent. That's without saying. He's got talent. He's got good soft hands. He has ability. is a very much an eyes up footballer. The fact that we've got him on a train trial deal where a couple of years ago Scott Fulton was trying to push him on us for about 800,000 a year or more, that's great business. The kid seems to have the hunger. He's had a good chat. Samuela has come to the club and come to Benji and said, look, I want you to give him a chance. They've had a good chat. Benji says, well, he knows this is probably his last chance to really give it a good shake. So I think it'd be a great redemption story. Not that he's necessarily done anything wrong, but it was just, a wasted talent that we've seen over the years with a lot of players. But if he get himself right and he can add value, I would definitely aim to have him at that 13 or second row or just that off the bench kind of forward. 5'8", I don't know. He's got the skill. He's got the skill for sure. But is he going to displace who we've already got? No, probably not. So, I'd aim to have him in that sort of kind of real ball-playing 13. Although, in saying that, I have actually quite enjoyed Seafarth. I think our attack looks better with Seafarth at 13 with the way he can hold that ball and pass it out to playing that sort of kind of second receiver. But Schuster would add that pace and ability in that similar position.
I think what he also gives you off the bench is that if you have him as having there, he can come on and play second row, he can come on and play lock, he can come on and fill in if someone's injured in the halves. So it allows you these days with the 6-man bench, gives you a little bit more versatility on the other picks. You don't need a half backup like we've been playing a half off the bench all year. Well, if you got him, you've actually got a second rower there who can fill in if you have any injuries at halves, because otherwise you're not bringing a half on. So, I think if he can get himself right, I mean, it's a good option to have at the club, and we'll probably get him for as Jordan said, a much better price than people have historically. So, I think he's still getting paid by Manly, or at least he got enough payout that he's that he doesn't need the money.
It's either this year or next year's. Was the last year of his original deal with Manly.
Yeah,
I think Manly are probably still raiding piggy banks trying to find money to pay out Josh Schuster. Didn't they pay $1 million a season? It was huge
Close
money.
to. Huge money.
What I remember.
Crazy money. Yep.
Massive money. You mentioned Alex Seafarth a minute ago, Jordan. I just want to send a shout out to Big Red, Alex Seafarth, because I was actually in traffic yesterday, funny enough, driving across the Silverwater Bridge, and someone in a big red ute was sitting right on my tail, and I had a look in the mirror. Alex Seafarth. So, Alex, love your work, mate. Maybe just keep a little bit of distance between yourself and the car in front, but good player, Alex, and looking forward to watching you play again this week.
I'm sure he was saying he was driving in behind some bloke 20 k's under the speed limit or something for sure.
Quite possibly. I'm running low on fuel, so I'm trying to be economical. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Now, as we slightly start to move on, before we get to the Dragons game, it's funny because I just want to send a quick shout out to a fellow called Pat Diva on the West Tigers podcast Facebook group. So he did make a good post this afternoon, saying that the last thing the team needs to do is look at the table, and we're going to and to leave that for the fans. So tonight I thought we're going to have a look at the table because we are the fans and we can talk about that. And a few weeks ago I did call this the Dare to Dream segment when we're a bit further out. It's probably getting more like a don't want to be nervous segment, but I didn't want to think too much about potential matches, who we've got, who we can beat, who we might lose to. So my work is actually encouraging us to use AI a lot. So I threw it all into ChatGPT and I said, ChatGPT, tell me what the West Tigers' chances are for the rest of the season and tell me where we're going to finish. So I'll go through it very quickly, line by line or round by round, and get your boys' opinion. So round 18 this week, we've got the Dragons away. ChatGPT says we're going to win with 65% confidence. Agree?
Yep.
Hopefully.
I hope too. So I don't have as much as 65% confidence. Never do. Probably 50.1%, but I'll go along with that. So that gets us to 20 points. Then we got the Warriors away. It says we're going to lose with 35% confidence.
Except it's the Warriors at home.
At home? Or at their home? Yes.
No,
it's at Campbelltown.
Oh, it's at Campbelltown.
It's Friday night at Campbelltown.
Okay, so ChatGPT got that wrong. I
still Warriors aren't a big fan of Campbelltown Stadium.
That's true. I can't see us winning, but what do you think, boys? We may have Samuela back, possibly.
And they have no Mitch Barnett. It's a Friday after Origin. They have no Jackson Ford's out injured. I have a real suspicion on a cold Friday night that we might get that one. I reckon.
I think so too, especially if Samuel is going to be back. I still, one of my favourite games ever at Campbelltown was Jeff Daniella's hat trick against the Warriors at Campbelltown Stadium. So, I have a lot of confidence in that game, especially if Samuel is back and we get through this weekend with no injuries.
Okay, well, as the host, I'm going to overrule you and agree with ChatGPT. I'm going to say we're going to lose that one, so we're still on 20 points. I hope we win, but anyway, the week after we play the Bulldogs, and ChatGPT says we're going to win.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Jordan, I can see you thinking about this one, right? Because they're starting to hit a little bit of form. And
it's hard to judge. I'll judge it based off their next two performances.
Which is fair enough. But from an AI point of view, we win that one. So we get another 2 points. I can't remember what we're up to now, but anyway. 22. Week after, we've got the Raiders, and I think that's down at Canberra. ChatGPT says we're going to win.
Yeah. If you watch that game against the Dragons on the weekend, neither of those sides would have won a New South Wales Cup game. So
I can't put my finger on the Raiders. I can't put my finger on what's wrong with the Raiders.
Yeah. Fogarty.
But it is wrong. Whatever is wrong is wrong.
It's wrong. They've got the squad. I don't get it.
It's just bad to watch. And I'm like they're kind of my second team, the Raiders. I spent a lot of time in Canberra. But like they are, it's just all looks bad when you watch them play. Like there was miracles that got them home against a woeful Dragons. So the Dragons should have won that match. Effectively, like that's
they would have if they
Raiders
didn't get that ridiculous call on that try. I could not believe that.
Mm-hmm. And it was 2 runaway tries. Like, so if we can't beat the Raiders, we aren't trying.
Famous last words. Well, let's hope they're bad when we play them, and let's hope that's another 2 points in the bank, which I think takes us to 26. The following week, believe it or not, it's a home game against the Eels at CommBank, of all places to play the Eels. ChatGPT says we're going to win.
Yeah, we should.
Yep.
The thing is with those games, as the season gets on, and again, that's why I said, like with the Bulldogs one, it'll depend on how their performances lead up to it. If their season's done and dusted, and it is pretty much for Parramatta, but if their seasons are done and dusted, and they've already got their eye on the holiday, I have a bit more confidence. But if they start getting a win and a run, and then that whole magical term of mathematical possibility comes into play, that's when you start to worry.
And it's also fitness. Like if we can keep the team on the field with Samuela back next week, then I think the Warriors game maybe was a bit of a stretch, but I think we should. These are all games we should win. These are teams that have been worse than us this year. So if we can get that virtually a full team on the field and keep it on the field, centre worries me. But other than that, I think we should win these games. I think that's a good run of games we should win.
And I'll give ChatGPT a bit of credit. It actually gave me a justification for the wins and losses. And it did say with a number of players set to return in the coming weeks, and as long as we don't have any more major injuries, that these are games that we potentially should win. So ChatGPT, well done. I believe that win over the Eels is 3 in a row, Jordan. So congratulations, you've got it right again. That takes us up to 28. Now, the following week, round 23, we've got the bye, so there's 2 points. So that takes us up to, maybe that takes us up to 28.
That takes us 28.
That takes us to 28. The week after the bye, round 24, we've got the Dragons. We're going to win that one as well.
Yeah,
day game, put 50 on them.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we're on 30 points. Now, the last 3 rounds, we have the Roosters, the Cowboys, and the Panthers.
Yeah, that's a tough run.
Do we have the Panthers, though, or do we have the Windsor Wolves? It's the last game of the season. I reckon we have the Windsor Wolves in that game, not the Panthers.
Well, from those last 3 rounds, ChatGPT has us as 2 losses and a win. It's got us beating the Cowboys. And that gets us to 32 points, which a lot of people are saying is the magic number.
Cowboys at home, too. It's a
tough one.
That's a tough one. But, yeah, I agree with you, Josh. I think as long as they've got the I've just had a brain fade. What's minor premiership? Thank you. That's the one. As long as they've got the minor premiership sewed up, I think I agree. I think he'll, unless Ivan wants to be a spiteful so-and-so, not that he'd have any reason to be, I think we'll end up playing a very depleted Penrith team.
And the Cowboys game, look, that's a real challenge to go up there at the end of a season and beat them. But it depends on injuries. I think that's probably not just for us, but a lot of these games as we come into the back half of the season for a lot of teams will just depend on who they can put on the field. Like if
Yeah.
we've kind of got blokes coming back, so if they hold together after having a break, they've had their injury, then we should be okay. We should be okay. Feeling good about it.
Well, let's see how accurate ChatGPT is. We might do a recap at the end of the season, and I might bring up these stats. And I'll tell you what, if it's spot on or close to spot on, I might start asking ChatGPT a few more financial questions that maybe might actually help you, Jordan, pay off your new house.
Yeah, please. Please.
We'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, fingers crossed we get over the Dragons because it all starts with the first game. And talking about the Dragons, let's get into the game preview. So Saturday, the 4th of July. 5:30 p.m. down at Kogarah. You going, Jordan? I know you like to go to as many games as possible. Josh?
No, I'm not going there at the moment, although that might change. There's always a chance that might change. So that one, it would be a nice place to go, and it's not that far away. So I might reconsider that as the weekend goes on. We'll see.
Get there early. Parking is terrible.
Good to know.
I haven't been there for years, but yeah, I won't be getting there. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be stuck with a bit of actual work across the weekend, which I'm not looking forward to doing, but I will be watching the game most likely on the lounge. But the weather's actually meant to be fine, Jordan, so you might not have to take your poncho this week, which would be a good thing.
That'd be nice. Kogarah's not exactly a happy hunting ground for me. It's actually the only stadium in my lifetime I've had a ban at. That's a story from a long, long, long time ago. But
is this a story you want to share?
Oh, gladly. I was only 16 or going on 17 at the time. We were playing them there. So this is what, 17. So this is 17 years ago. We played there at the time. We were winning, and I got a bit vocal. I will admit, I did swear at one point. And this lady in front of me asked me politely not to because of the kids, which I humbly apologised. I said no dramas. I was pretty much probably the only Tigers fan in Cooee of the area that I was sitting in. And we ended up winning and got up, I was cheering, all these people leaving, and a rather elderly gentleman took exception to me being happy and got physical. And I had even though he started, had several Dragons fans tell security that I started the conflict and everything else, and I received a 12-month ban from Kogarah Jubilee Oval.
12 months.
Dirty Dragons.
So,
I was going to say, so that's not why you've got a really short haircut now? You haven't changed your appearance on purpose?
No. Although I'm pretty sure we played the following year, I ended up attending anyway, so their band didn't really stick. But in saying that, it's not really the greatest ground in the NRL, but yeah, hopefully the weather is nice and dry because I know I'm not undercover. So
yeah, it is old school. I remember standing up on the hill. I remember standing on the hill up near the fence where the park is out the back, and I remember watching. I can't remember who it was. Might have been our team warming up. I could even be getting confused with the Magpies game that I trained at in 2008 because I think we might have warmed up out in that backfield before we played on Kogarah back in the day. But yeah, old school suburban ground. I do like the suburban ground, so I hope there's a good atmosphere out there. Hopefully, there's enough Tigers fans to make a bit of noise because it's obviously you can't understate how big this game is. Like the Newcastle game was huge, but if we lose this one, I think we're gone. Like I think it just gets too hard.
My biggest concern's the record, because if Dragons lose, they have the worst record since the Knights season, I think it was. So, yeah, and we know what it's like as Tigers fans when it comes to these kind of things, when it's meant to be a certainty and everything else. Losing Luai doesn't really help, but I was really hoping Samuela was going to be back this week, but he's not.
So was I, because that was all the talk from Benji the week before, that Samuela should be back early, and they were targeting this week, and then all of a sudden his name wasn't mentioned, and I haven't heard anything else. Josh, have you heard anything about Samuela this week? I haven't seen anything.
No, I think next week they're expecting him back. So, what is this week? What are we, round 19? I think round 20 was the original thing, but I think it was going to be a week or two early. So maybe next week. I think he's hoping to be back. So.
Round 18 this week. I know the
Yeah, round
original return
19.
date, I think, was round 22, but he was flagged to come back a fair bit early. But anyway, fingers crossed he is back next week. But who is back is Alex Twile, Jordan. So he's a huge inclusion. He'll help to lock up a bit in the middle and hopefully do that talking that maybe some of our quieter players don't do.
Yeah, and hopefully take away this obsessive fourth play option of Terrell May. It's something I did notice a lot in Newcastle, and it's too slow. Especially that's probably the one thing I'm starting to get really critical with Benji with his bench placement with the forwards. I know Alex Seafarth can play in the prop rotation as well, but I really probably would have given Pete to Teo a go, just to minimise May's minutes. He's starting to get lax at the back end of games, and playing 80 minutes in the front row in the NRL is a tough ask constantly. So hopefully, with Twal being back, it'll hopefully fix that part because he was sort of kind of doing that last little, speed up against the markers, playing the quick play of the ball, getting the kick away kind of thing. So, but defensively, he will shore up a lot of things. He's a big inclusion for us, and hopefully our back line is on song because the last thing, even though Josh said, I know Valentine Holmes has had a bit of a fall in form, I really, really hope we don't give him a platform to sort of kind of pull our pants down and spank us in front of their home crowd. But if Benji's smart, we're targeting Gutherson all day, every day with the high kicks, Buller, the tall run, just that midfield bomb and getting him under pressure because Gutherson looks like someone who should have retired 12 months ago.
Yeah, look, he is getting older and he's pretty weathered, right? He's had a lot of injury issues and he's had a great career. I think ideally for him, if he had the choice, he would have finished up at Parramatta, but I like what he's done at the Dragons. Actually, I remember when he went over that first preseason, I don't want to talk too much about Dragons, but the stories where he was super fit, he was super vocal, he was, walked into the place, wanted everyone to accept him, and he was winning all of the fitness tests during the preseason and earning that respect. And I've got a lot of respect for Clint Gutherson. I think he's a really good player. I think he'll have a crack on the weekend, but hopefully you're right, Jordan. Hopefully he's slowed down enough that he'll get run over and trampled.
He looks so slow. I can't remember what forward it was the other week who ran around him.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it might have been the Knights game, but he looks like he's lost so much pace.
Yep.
Yep. And look, the Dragons team does reflect that Gutho probably is still the fittest player in that team because they haven't been very good this year. And so perhaps him winning all the fitness tests should have not been looked at as a positive, but perhaps a bit of a concern for how unfit the rest of them were. Yeah. I think, obviously there's some concerns in the back line, but I think there's more concerns in their back line. I think Adam's second game back, Jock with a week to freshen up. I mean, I know it was a head injury though. Like it's probably sometimes good to have that week off. I think they'll look good and they'll play plenty together this year. The weather hopefully will be a little better. I don't think the conditions did either team very much favors. I think the wet weather probably helps the Dragons because lower scoring games but they just can't score points. Like they've been getting in positions all year to score points. They just can't score them. So, and their forward pack it'll be in 2 or 3 years. They'll have a really good forward pack. At the moment, it's not up to like they're all great potential players. I think as I said, I think 2 or 3 years they'll have a really good side. But we have a good like Terrell and Fanua, as you said, Jordan. I think Terrell's been getting in the middle too much and trying to ball play. Like we need to just have him running or getting out of the way a little more, to be honest. But I thought Suka was good on the weekend. I thought Sione's had a few games. Alex Twal back. I think our starting 13 dominates theirs. I'm a little worried about the benches, but I think Pole probably comes off the bench again and Bunty starts, and that's actually been really effective the last few weeks. So I think that helps us. We've got to watch Jacob Little coming off the bench. I think he's probably been their only danger across the board for them this year. But we should get the job done. Like if we can't win this, then I know I've been really positive all year. Finals. But if you lose to the Dragons, you don't deserve to be in the finals race. So we just should pack up and go home if we can't win this. Like
have to start fast.
Yeah, and then it'll be just too much for them. I mean, I think we're too much for them anyway. I don't think. Like it's not full strength, but we're fairly close to full strength, with 12 back, and I know the back rows are still out, but I think, in the centre, like we've got 10 of our top 13 there. Maybe Macassini was in our top 13 at the start of the year anyway, so you're close to a top 13 side, decent
Mm.
bench players. Like we should, like, we just a lot of the even if we played like we did on the weekend, to be honest, it's probably enough to beat the Dragons. Like that's kind of where they're at. So, and I think we'll play better. So, I'm not. I don't think we'll. I think we'll attack more because you just put a bit more attack on the Dragons, and you're going to get a couple, and then and they're not going to get any. So you're fine. So.
The thing for me, yes, we have to start fast, but we also have got to start believing in ourselves and start building on a better start. So we got up to a 6-0 lead, against the odds. I thought, I was like you, Jordan, against the Knights. I thought after the first minute when they ran up and scored, which was disallowed, I thought we're going to get 50 put on us. But then we fought back into that game. We got up 6-0. And then we kind of looked like we shut up shop. It was almost like we'd done enough. Let's just tackle our way through the second half and try and close this out in a low-scoring, hard-fought game. I want to see us start quick against the Dragons and get on top, build momentum, start to put on a few more points, and don't finish playing. Play to the 80th minute. We did it early in the season. We smashed the Cowboys in our first game. Everyone was excited, and they went on with the job. We've got to start going on with the job a lot more. I hate this shutting up shop early. It drives everyone mad. And it gives us no confidence as fans sitting there watching the team either. Yeah. And surely it's going to have a lot to do with their self-belief as well.
100%. And the thing is, you can be a completive team. Like everyone loves, we completed 16 or 17 sets. Fantastic.
Yep.
What point is that if you haven't scored points?
Yep.
I mean, that's the Dragons season. So, and we don't want to be like that. I mean, they're doing that. They're trucking it up and they're not doing anything with it. And then they're trucking up. And they're like, aren't we doing great? And it's like, no, you're not really. Yeah. So we can't keep
chance your hand, get some shape, play out the back, straighten up. It's look, rugby league's, I've never played professional rugby league. I played semi-professional, but it can be a very simple game sometimes. And all you have to do is play straight, suck in a couple of defenders, and you can create an opportunity. But all of a sudden we're playing, as you said, Nick, we shut up shop and we will think, we can grind this out. Yeah, grind it out if you're ahead by 18. Yeah. Not ahead by 6. It's you've got to have the ability to score points, and we need a chance of hand, throw it around a little bit, rattle them early, and just march on from there.
Yep, 100%. So I think there's a few things that can help us this week. Obviously, with Alex Twal coming back, that's a massive inclusion. Even Alex Seyfarth shifting back to the interchange bench, I think will maybe help out Terrell possibly. So you could even bring him on to give Terrell a spell for 15 or 20 minutes and let Alex do the hard work, who I think has been playing pretty well this season. Anything with Alex Seyfarth, hello, Big Red again, but too much sticky spray on the hands last week. He dropped that ball playing the ball and it stuck to his hand as he lifted his hand up. So maybe reduce the amount of sticky spray just to cut out
that stuff. I refuse to use it.
Yeah,
never.
Hopefully they won't need it this week if the conditions are going to be dry, but that's a big one. In regards to the shape you were talking about, Jordan, we might see some shape this week. I'm very interested to see the combination again of Jock Madden AD in the halves. We saw it earlier in the year. The first time we saw it when Romy was out was against the Warriors over in Auckland when we beat them 32-14. And that was very unexpected. And a few people on social media have said, Jock had 2 great games early in the season. What's he done since then? Well, maybe it's a combination. Let's see how he goes next to Dewey again.
It gives Dewey the ability to run.
Correct.
He gave that Warriors game was all Madden giving Dewey space on his outside man. That's why it looks, and that's why Dewey looked like an absolute superstar, because Jock dug into the line and gave him space.
Really good shape too. As you said, that he creates that because he creates shape across the board. On the other hand, though, you've got Madden and Macassini next to each other on that left-hand side in defence, and that's a concern. Neither of them have shown.
You should put Taruva on Macassini. I agree with you what you said earlier, Josh. Put Macassini on the wing, put Taruva as his centre. Yep. Those two can chat with each other, and then make sure you give Sione the directive as anyone gets on your outside, you chase like your life depends on it.
Yep. Let's not talk about our deficiencies too loudly in case Dean Young is listening, so we'll just skip over that. But, boys, I'm looking forward to the game. I find it very difficult sometimes. I think I was telling Joel after the pod last week, after we finished recording, that I love watching the Tigers play, but I get so anxious about the result. And when it's a tight, dire game in wet conditions like last week against Newcastle, I find it very difficult to sit through 80 minutes without my stress levels going through the roof and without feeling a bit off. And I do look forward to a glass of red when the game's over, just to calm down a bit. Jordan, I know you're a non-drinker, mate, but yeah, for me, it's managing the highs and lows. But I don't know, boys. What are you thinking? Score predictions? Jordan, look like you're ready to go, mate.
I want to go confident. I want this to be the game that builds us up to a good run to the end of the year. I'll go 34-12 to the Tigers.
Josh?
Yeah, I was thinking fairly close to that too. I had 38-12. I think the Dragons can't score enough points, and I think we have that's I go look at that side. I think we have enough talent to put that one away. Doesn't mean we do all season, but I think for this one we have enough talent to put them away. And if we don't, well then we may as well shut up shop for the rest of the year.
I do agree with you, boys. While we were talking, I actually put into ChatGPT, how many points will we beat the Dragons by this week? And the response is, my predicted score is the Tigers will win by 8. The score will be West Tigers 28, St. George Illawarra Dragons 20. So let's see how ChatGPT goes this week. I might even, for my tipping comp this round, ask ChatGPT for the responses or the results. So I'm going to give that a crack. I don't think I'm going to win the comp. I never win tipping comps. I'm pretty hopeless, so there's no harm in giving it a go. But Jordan,
my prediction will be Buller will have a blinder.
I hope so.
I'm thinking a double.
A few people have been bagging Buller, I think unfairly, but there's a chance for a lot of the boys to stand up this week against a team that has struggled across the season. I think they've been a little bit unlucky for some of their recent games. I think they've been in some games recently, but hopefully they're not in this game this week.
I think Appy will have an absolute cracker. I think he had a poor game last weekend. I thought he was very disappointing. I thought the fact he's missed Origin, the fact he's up against Damien Cook, I think he'll have an absolute ripper this week.
I hope so. I feel for Uppy. I don't think we'll see him again in a Blues jersey, sadly. I hope he proves me wrong, but a bit of a shame the way that's panned out. But anyway, that's a story for another time. Boys, thank you very much. It's been a fun pod.
Thank you, boys.
Let's go Tigers.
Go Tigers.